Welcome to the STEM Confidence Podcast, where we talk about how to turn your data into powerful insights. Hello, and welcome to another episode of the STEM Confidence Podcast. In today's episode, we are diving into a crucial aspect of effective communication and something that, in my opinion, can truly make or break your presentations and talks. And that is understanding your audience. We are going to explore why it is essential to tailor your content to your specific audience and how to prepare your talk to maximize interaction and engagement. But before we dive into the details of audience analysis and crafting a talk that actually resonates, let's take a moment to ponder the why. Why is understanding your audience so important? In my opinion, one of the most frustrating experiences as an audience member is feeling disconnected from the speaker. You might have encountered situations where you attend a talk or a presentation and it seems that the speaker was talking to an empty room. And I think that no one wants to be on either end of that equation. This is especially unpleasant if you are in the role of an educator. So imagine this: you are standing in front of a class or an audience, and your goal is to share some knowledge with them. You don't want to be speaking to a wall. You want to establish a dynamic and engaging interaction with the people who are listening to you. And it is important to remind ourselves that the audience is not just a passive listener, they are kind of the heart of your presentation. And that's why their needs, their interests, and their expectations should shape the path you are taking in your talk. So, without further ado, let's explore a few essential tips on how to prepare your presentation in a way that not only suits your audience, but also captivates and involves them. The first and most important task you have as a speaker is to tailor your content. However, whenever we are about to prepare a talk, we are first very focused on getting the most of our knowledge out there so that everyone can see how much work we did. And I want to suggest you to stop yourself right there and ask yourself this simple question: who am I even talking to? Are you going to be talking to experts, to students, or maybe to a mixed audience? It is crucial to tailor the content of your talk according to the expertise of your audience. And I know it sounds quite simple, but indeed, this is such a common mistake that I see happening all the time. Just try to remember how many times you were listening to a talk without understanding anything the speaker was trying to say. I can say that for myself, this happened many times, and it ends up being quite a frustrating situation because you disconnect and stop paying attention to the talk. And in order to avoid this from happening in your talk, with every new slide, with every new information you are deciding to share, ask yourself, how does this fit with the audience you are having? And when you start doing this, you will be surprised by how much information actually has to be removed in order to gain more clarity and make your talk accessible to your audience. And this actually brings me to the second point, which is to identify and then prioritize their needs. So, how do we do that? We do that by asking ourselves, what is my audience here for? Are they here to master a particular skill, maybe a new method or protocol that you developed, or are they here to gain insights on your work and it is more of an open-end discussion? The answer to this question will give you right away the direction in which your talk has to go. If your audience is here to learn something about a new method or protocol, you want to make sure that you start by setting a clear context of the work you did and spend some substantial time on explaining why and how you reached your conclusions. By doing so, you make sure that your audience is ready to receive your knowledge that they can later apply in their own work. Remember that your audience is investing their time to gain insights and knowledge. And it is all about what you can offer them, not about you as a presenter. And this is why it is so important that your content addresses their needs and provides some actionable takeaways that they can then apply in their own work. When doing so, it is very important to adapt your communication style to what they are here for. For example, if they are here to learn, you should use clear and instructive language, maybe some visuals, or even some real-world examples to make your point easier to understand. And finally, I want to talk about feedback and interaction. You know that feeling when you finish your talk and you are glad that it's done, and the moderators ask if there are questions from the audience, and then no one asks anything, there is no feedback, or maybe just one or two people react. So this probably happens because your audience disconnected from your talk and they are just waiting for it to finish so they can move on with their day. I know this sounds quite harsh, but at least this is what I want to do when I disconnect from the talk. And I believe I am not the only one. So how do we avoid this from happening? First of all, there are two problems here. First, the content you are sharing, and second, how you are sharing it. Once again, remind yourself what your audience is here for and design a talk that will guide them to that destination. This is done by giving a clear and engaging presentation. You should define your objectives and then tell your content as a story. Humans are designed to listen and engage with stories, and you'll see that you will get a better engagement right away. Also, make sure that every piece of information you share is directly related to your main message. This means that you should avoid tangents and irrelevant details that may disengage and confuse your audience. If allowed, you can even establish a feedback loop by periodically checking in with the audience to ensure they are following your content. It is also a good idea to ask if there are any questions or if they would like you to clarify any points. And finally, remember that whenever you are presenting something, you are actually establishing an interaction with your audience. It is not about you at all. It is and should be all about them, the people who are listening to you. By understanding your audience's motivations and needs and adapting your presentation accordingly, you ensure that your talk is not only informative, but also engaging and valuable to those in attendance. Thank you for listening, and until next time. Thank you for listening to this episode. If you are ready to elevate your communication skills and transform your data into valuable insights, schedule a free discovery call on the link in the description.